Hello, my name is Dr. Emily Bouck, and I'm a faculty member at Michigan State University. A lot of my research focuses on mathematics interventions, so I'm very excited to be able to be here with you today and talk about virtual mathematics manipulatives. I am also the executive director of DADD, so I just want to thank everyone for their support of DADD and using us as a resource. So first, what are virtual manipulatives? Well, first of all, virtual manipulatives are digital manipulatives, right? They're used in mathematics. And so if we can think of what concrete manipulatives are, our base-time blocks, our pattern blocks, our algebra tiles, our fraction towers, digital manipulatives are the same thing, but available in a virtual format so that they are available as apps, downloadable apps, or as internet-based options. And so that we can use these as downloadable apps on iPads, Chromebooks, or other tablets, as well as online with the internet-based options with any computers, as well as Chromebooks. Virtual manipulatives exist as both free and for purchase options. And in a minute, I'm going to kind of show you a couple of my favorites. And finally, if there is a range of different mathematical areas that virtual manipulatives can cover. As I said, many different companies exist about virtual manipulatives. I'm going to highlight two of my favorites, one free and one for purchase. And you can see that there's a range from base 10 to pattern blocks to fraction tiles, algebra tiles, and a whole variety so that we can support students in a range of different mathematical areas. What's the research like on virtual manipulatives? Well, first of all, I want to start off by saying that a graduate student of mine recently conducted an evidence-based synthesis looking at the literature on virtual manipulatives for students with autism spectrum disorders and intellectual and developmental disabilities. And through this evidence-based synthesis, we're able to talk about that virtual manipulatives are an evidence-based practice for students with autism spectrum disorder or intellectual and developmental disabilities when used on their own, such as a virtual manipulative as a tool or an intervention itself, or as part of an instructional sequence, such as the virtual representational abstract instructional sequence, the virtual abstract instructional sequence, or the virtual representational. All right. These instructional sequences are adaptations of a very common and evidence-based practice of the concrete representational abstract instructional sequence. So when used as an instructional sequence or when used on their own, we have some solid evidence to suggest that in terms of students acquiring their mathematical skill, that these tools are effective. All right. The research base that does exist suggests that students with disabilities, and particularly students with autism and intellectual disabilities, can acquire their mathematical skills, and often they can maintain when virtual manipulatives are used as part of a larger intervention package, which may include, obviously, explicit instruction if you're using a graduated sequence instruction, the system leaves prompts, or even modeling. Some of the limitations in the research that does exist is that primarily much of the research on virtual manipulatives has been focused on middle school students with autism and intellectual disabilities. There is literature out there to support the use with a few elementary students. And of course, there's some literature that supports high school students with learning disabilities, but that's some of the limitations. I am now going to switch and I'm going to bring up just two of my sites. All right, so I'm going to go to my transcript here. I am bringing up two of my virtual manipulative sites that I enjoy. So one of them is for free, and it is the Math Learning Center. So there are a range of free apps from the Math Learning Center that I encourage you to check out. They have fractions and geoboards, math clock, number frames, number line, number pieces, which we might think of our base 10 blocks, pattern shapes. I love the whiteboard app as well, and the money pieces to help support students who might be learning that functional skill. So again, these are free apps and can be used to support students effectively. The second one is Braining Camp, and these are for purchase. And so you can purchase individual apps, or you can purchase a whole package and get the internet-based ones as well as app-based ones. And again, you see algebra tiles and fraction tiles and geoboards and Unifix cubes, base 10 blocks, Cuisenaire rods. There's a whole range. And so these are two sites, one free and one for purchase, that I've used in my personal research to explore the efficacy of virtual manipulatives to support secondary students, primarily secondary students with autism and intellectual disability, and inquiring, maintaining, and even looking to generalize different mathematical skills with using virtual manipulatives. So I just want to thank you for joining me for this very brief introduction and conversation about some of the research on virtual manipulatives, and I'd be happy to answer any questions, and feel free to reach out. Thank you.